Waves of HBO Sports, Mr. George Foreman.
First thing I'd like to get straight, I said I wanted to show the world that the age 40 wasn't a death sentence. I didn't say I was 40. I'm 39. Let's get that straight. Secondly, I don't want people after the boxing matches coming up to me telling me, George, you really did good. I want them to say there was a good fight. So I hope not to get in the way of the fights themselves, because HBO is known world over now for producing good fights, good matches. And I just want to sit back and enjoy some at their expense. Plus, I'm going to get a chance to eat breakfast at their expense. And after a couple of years, if they still want me on, we'll see then. But I feel with working with Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley, it's going to help me because I was protected by Archie Moore and then later on with Angelo Dundee. And these guys were the kind of trainers and managers that would bring a fighter on slow. They wouldn't overmatch me, so I'm expecting them to really hold me back. And don't match me with the big guys too quick. Hold some back for a couple of years. And I hope it's going to be a fine relationship. And a lot of people ask me, well, George, you just had this big fight. What do you need to work for? I've got 9 children. And when I come home, it's like birds, you know. I got to always bring something home. And let me tell you, you can never have enough. But I'm going to have a good time. They're going to buy me a tuxedo, so I don't have to worry about that. I can spend all my money on food. Thank you.
Why don't we take questions if you have any questions?
What in particular is better about having a career this second time around? Because certainly you do have a second career.
Well, I'm mature this time, so everything that's happening to me, I'm really enjoying it. The first time around, you think, oh, boy, can I get out of here? But now it seems like I got no place to go but to enjoy myself. So everything that's happening to me now is not a job. It's almost like recreation.
And one of the things we talked about on the phone when I spoke with you last week was the fact that people are viewing you as a champion anyway. I mean, there are two ways to win. One way would have been to win the title, but you've won the people. Do you feel the fact that you're their champion? Can you feel it? I mean, you're the people's champion.
I went out there and I did my best, and whenever you do your best, people are going to pat you on the back and say, well done, you know, and I went out there and did my best, and people are really kind of proud of me. Win, lose, or draw.
Very proud.
Do your best, and especially, most of them are my age.
But you know, the sense that I get, George, isn't that people are proud merely because you are said to be 40. It's because of 39. The performance. It's because of the performance that you gave. I mean, nobody can dispute the fact that it was extraordinarily great, and the fact that for people who've been a fan for a long time like I have, we know that you don't usually last, 12 rounds.
Go a long time.
So the fact that you went past 5 rounds in and of itself was a great victory, don't you think? I mean, the fact that you went to the end,
yeah, and
regardless
then,
of age.
It was good for boxing itself because a lot of the fights have ended in 1 or 2 rounds, and I think the sport itself needed that shot in the arm.
Absolutely.
A 12-round boxing match ending, no controversy. Everybody can go to bed saying, wow, whippy. And I think they cheered that more than anything else.
Okay, one last question, because I suppose you probably have people asking you all the time, is there any kind of conflict within you being a pastor and also boxing?
No, not at all. I think it's interesting for me to keep busy, do as many things as I can, and show the whole world, especially young people, that, hey, church is no hindrance. Come to church, you can be a better whatever you are. Ralph, a football player, boxer, come to church.
Well, as your sister in Christ, I agree with you wholeheartedly, and Christians everywhere are praying for you, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, we're here today talking with George Foreman, the people's champ, and I'd like to know again from you, what's so great about this time around? This is a second career for you.
You know what? It's better the second time around because the first time around, you don't know what you're doing. You're pushing people away. You don't know that they're trying to help you. The second time around, everything that has happened to me, I've enjoyed it. And it's been more productive because not only you're making a good living, but you're making lots of friends, and you know you better keep these friends this time around. So the second time around is the most important.
After the fight, did you feel victorious?
You know what? I didn't feel dejected at all. I went out there and I told everybody I would do my best. I didn't think the fight would go 12 rounds. I thought I'd get an earlier knockout. And I didn't get enough points. I realized it because I was seeking for one knockout punch. So I went back in the dressing room and said, I ought to do it again and start trying to win on points. That's the only thing I thought about.
Because everybody everybody, of course, was looking for the big 1-2. I mean, everybody was looking for the knockout. I mean, I was on my feet continuously because I said, you know, any moment now, any moment now. And I was telling everybody, but then after the 5th round was over, I said, I mean, honestly, I said, I love George. I followed his career, but
the end is near.
I don't think he's going to make it to the end. However, you shocked me, along with shocking everybody else. And although I know it's not always great to make a lot of similarities, there is a similarity here with what's happening, what happened to Muhammad Ali and what's happening with you, in that whether he won or lost, people adopted him as their champion, and people have adopted you. And to me, somehow that's better than just having a belt around your waist, because the people have adopted you and they love you. Do you feel that energy, and do you feel that that's in some way as good as having a belt?
You know, I've had a lot of fun with the people. I travel around and speak and sign autographs. It's a pleasure to me. If they can pat me on the back and say, you did well, that's more important than having a belt around me.
I thought so.
I wouldn't want to win it, even winning a boxing match and say, hey, that was a foul punch or it was a controversial decision. I wouldn't want to live my life like that. But to have people pat me on the shoulder, especially the sky caps, cab drivers, I feel good about it.
Absolutely. And just wondering this, Judge, if one of your sons said, oh, Daddy, I want to be a boxer, what would you say?
Well, if he's going to be a boxer, he wouldn't have to ask me in the first place. He'll just be telling me. Because boxers are like that. Hey, man, I'm going to be a boxer. Give me something to eat.
Do you think you'd be very nervous? Could you relax?
Oh, it wouldn't bother me that much, because if he chose such a field, I know he'd have to work hard anyway.
And again, is there any contradiction between being a pastor and being a boxer?
No, not at all. I think a preacher should try to do as many things as he can to show people that, hey, church is not nothing that can stop you. It's something that can help you.
Absolutely.
And more kids should realize that, too. You can be a great whatever you want to be, and you're going to need God to help you.
And have you trained better now than you did before? I know a lot of things are
I train a lot
different.
harder. And of course, I eat a lot more, too.
What's a typical day like for you when you're not fighting and you have nothing to do? There are no interviews and there's nothing. George gets up and then what?
I get nervous. There's nobody to talk to. I miss the reporters a lot. I really do. And at home, you don't have those guys calling you up or needing an interview, and you don't have a press conference. You get a little edgy. You miss those things.
But, I mean, do you jog? Do you train? Do you do anything?
No, I just hang around and just follow my wife around the house. Call her on the portable phone. Where are you now, baby? How long will you be back? I bother this woman all day. She told me, hey, you going back to boxing.
So do you cook at all? Just curious, since you mentioned it.
I'm not my wife's become such a great cook that I don't even have to cook around the house. I mess up my best meals.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, George. It was a pleasure having you.